How do we balance our energy? When it comes to talking about masculine and feminine energy, there's so many things that people have opinions on. I know for my own self, I tend to steer a little bit more my masculine energy on most days just because of the nature of my work, what I do every single day, and that's just how I roll. And I want to invite you today to consider looking at both sides of your energy. We have both masculine and feminine energy that we can bounce between in any given moment. I had such a beautiful conversation with Petia Kolibova in this week's episode. We spoke a lot about energetics and how to balance it, and also creating businesses and a life that's truly aligned to us, regardless of what other people think about it. And while the conversation was extremely soulful, I know there's going to be a lot of takeaways for you in this episode. I'll tell you a little bit about Petia. Petia is a women's transformation coach who helps women who have been pushed down and been playing it small due to toxic relationships or unhealed childhood trauma to create a life that is true to them and their soul purpose. Her mission is to help women who are on the path to healing from past wounds move through their limiting beliefs and internal blocks so they can finally do what they want to do and do what feels good to them and serve other women in a powerful way online. Petia pairs feminine flow with strategic planning to give entrepreneurs immense clarity and exact steps to transition from side hustler to CEO. If she's not interviewing on her podcast called Unapologetically Abundant, working out or reading, you will find her in nature disconnecting from the world and connecting to herself. Let's get into this conversation with Petia. Hi, Petia. Welcome to the podcast. I'm very excited to have you on the show today.
I am so excited to talk to you, Simona. It's just like the highlight of my day today.
Oh, I feel the same way about mine. Thank you for saying that. And you know what's funny? We were talking just before this, and you and I have met before. I was in a training that you led in my first ever group coaching program. So to see it come back like full circle like this is such a beautiful like moment. I love it. And I'm so grateful for you to be here today.
I love that, because it's just like, it also helps you to reflect and look back, like how it used to be like years, months ago, right? And to really see like, wow, when I met this person, this is where I was. And now when I'm reconnecting with her, I'm in completely different place, which is beautiful because also what I mentioned, some people never change. Some people, they're so afraid, of the change, of the consequences, and they don't realize that not changing has even more cost, than not changing. So like seeing you thriving and like, we didn't talk about like your life business or anything, but I can feel you, like I can really intuitively feel your energy and really see like how radiant you are. And it's beautiful, like really supporting your vision and sending it out to the world. It's life-giving.
Thank you so much for saying that. That's so beautiful. I'm so grateful. And I want to ask you my very first question that I ask all of my guests on the show. What does happiness mean to you?
It's beautiful. And the first thing that really came to me, it's right here, right now, because I am truly fulfilled and happy in my life. So that would be like one part of it. And the other part of it, it's right here and right now. Because I used to live in a when lands, like when you're chasing the happiness, when I'm skinny, when I have more money, when I have the partner, when I have my own business, when I have the first client, like, when you're living in a when land. And now it's more of just like, look how I live, look what I created. And it's not about what do I have, but how do I really feel? Because when I feel good, all the havings are happening by themselves. It's not like I'm laying in my bed and like it's like raining on me, but you cannot create a happiness from a place of hating on what is. Because when I started my coaching like 5 years ago, of course I evolved and I teach different things, but when I started, the women who were coming to me and we were talking about, one of them that, became your mentor, is that they came to me and they're like, I hate my job. I don't want to be here. Like, I know I'm meant for more. I don't know what that more is. And so the first thing that I get to explain them and teach them is that your life is not going to change because you change the place you work, that you change your hair. How many times we did it, huh? Let me change my hair, like, and then I will feel better after every breakup or, a depressive episode. We change our hair and we think that our life will change. Nothing will change outside of you until you change your energy. So the first, I work with them on their energetics to change how they are feeling. And then you create the happiness no matter where you are, but it's always in the present moment. It's not overthinking, overanalyzing the past. It's not overthinking and overanalyzing how I will create my future. What will I do? That's overwhelming. And it just gives us anxiety. I don't know about you, but that's what it gives me, right? But being in the here and now, it's what's creating the future. So I know it's a very long answer, but I love the question.
It's a beautiful answer. And I love that you touched on the piece of like when you live in the future, when you live in the when. And I love that you phrased it like that because I've never heard it like that before. And I think that's so important to just highlight because it's very true. You like when you're constantly living in a state of chasing the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. Sure, the next thing will always bring you that temporary happiness, right? Like you'll always have a temporary kind of happiness when you get a new client. You're going to be joyful. You're going to be excited, right? But that's not long, deep, like lasting happiness.
Fulfillment. Yeah. I feel like happiness, like you have these happy moments, but like in my life, when I look at the happiness, what it feels to me, it's happiness. It's because of something, right? Happiness. It's because of something, because I got the client or because, like my husband brought me flowers or something happened. Like, look at this happiness. It's from happening, happiness. It's because something happened. And I prefer the joy, like enjoy, being in joy, because the joy is internal. The joy comes from the inner knowingness. The joy comes from being rejoiceful, right? It's just like, I don't need anything and anyone to feel the joy inside of me. Again, the happiness, it's from happening.
Yeah. How funny is that though? That's the name of the podcast. Happiness happens. You know what I mean? Like, of course,
yeah.
And when you said that, I was like, yeah, actually it is, because it's true. Like when it does happen, it can happen in so many different ways. It can happen by an external thing, but it also, exactly like you're saying, very much is that inner joy. And I love that. And one thing you were saying before that I also wanted to touch on for everyone who's listening right now, because I think it's really important, is this piece of anxiety. We live in a very heightened, anxious world, right? If you're not able to change your situation or where you live or whatever, you might just be living in that constant state of high anxiety and not even realizing it. And so what do we do now? We fill it with more money, more clients, more this, more this, more this. But when ultimately, what would you say is like that main cause of that anxiety?
I feel like it's the worthiness, really. Because when you're not feeling worthy, that's when you're coming from a place, I need more, right? I need more to feel happy. So it's when you're feeling worthy, when you're feeling deserving, when you come from that place of knowingness, then nothing can shake you. But if you're not feeling worthy of love, worthy of money, worthy of peace, like I feel very worthy of my own peace, turning off my phone and don't do nothing. I would not do that like 5 years ago. I would have major anxiety because I was on my phone, on my computer. What if, like, major FOMO? Like when I started my business, it's like, oh my gosh, what if client messages me and I am not going to be there? What if if I get an email and because I took a weekend off, they're not going to sign up with me? So the anxiety, it's really created because we're not feeling worthy. And then now I am feeling worthy and deserving of happiness, of joy, of fulfillment in my life. And that's why I'm not stressing. I'm not in a state of anxiety. I allow myself to be in a state of fulfillment, to be in a state of growth, because not everything it's always butterfly and rainbows. Let's be honest, right? It doesn't matter how fulfilled you are and how amazing is your life. you will keep evolving and you will keep growing, and that will bring with itself sometimes the pain, but you don't have to suffer. You know, one thing that I heard it just like a couple of days ago from an amazing mentor, Michael Beckwith, and he was talking about the pain happens through pushing. You know, pain pushes, vision pulls. So we are pushing in our life, right? Like we're pushing, I gotta make this happen. I gotta do this. I gotta sign up the clients, you know, it creates pain, but your vision pulls you. I'm pulled to serve more women. I'm pulled to be on this podcast. My vision, it's pulling me. It's showing me the steps. There is no anxiety because you're being pulled. You don't have to be pushing. And that's where I used to be, pushing and, you know, like hustling and working hard and 7 days a week. And I realized that when I allowed myself to just be pulled versus pushing and allow myself to be exactly where I am, because that's the moment when I'm in here and now, I'm being guided. Like so many very powerful things are happening in my life that in no way I could plan for them. Like I look back, I'm like, wow, like this is so fantastic. Like how things are happening. Like, oh, I was thinking to go to eat in this restaurant and I meet this person and this person becomes my personal assistant who later tells me about the retreat that introduces me to the mentor that now I'm getting certified. It's like, you can't plan this. You cannot say like, oh, I will wake up today and I will find a perfect person who will lead me to the perfect client. And that perfect client is going to, it's just, you can't.
No, you can't. I agree with you completely. And I was actually having this conversation today with someone. We were on a call and it's so funny. And she had asked me, she was like, so what is your vision, you know, for a year from now? And I was like, well, I could sit here and plan it, but I have actually no idea. Like I have an idea of what I would love to happen.
Yeah.
But it's also that mentality of like this or something better. You know what I mean? Like this or something better.
Show me.
Show exactly.
I grew up in a small town in the Czech Republic, and there is, when I was growing up, like very much like small mindset mentality, you know, like don't get too excited. Like when you're too excited, it's not going to work out, then you will get hurt. So like playing it small, playing it really safe. And I just got tired of it. I really got tired. And instead of waiting for the other shoe to drop and to see like, oh my gosh, this is too good to be true. Like what will go wrong right now? Because, you know, that's like self-fulfilling prophecy, by the way.
Yeah.
I started to like have conversations with the universe, you know, with the God, whatever you want to call it, source, it doesn't matter, life. And I always say when something is really, really, really good, I'm like, oh my gosh, show me how this gets even better, because it's so good. And instead of being afraid, you know, like when you're in a beautiful, fulfilling relationship, you know, and then you are feeling like, oh my gosh, what if he cheats? What if he leaves? Like, this is too good. Like, I already invested so much money, energy, time, whatever, like my clock is ticking. Is this the one? So instead of like thinking this way, just trust the universe, trust yourself. If something doesn't feel right, usually it's not, just FYI.
Isn't that the truth? And it's hard to watch people too, though, people who are constantly pushing when you can even see that, you know what I mean? If that person's not happy, if you're not happy in the situation that you're in, I think, in my opinion, you're fully responsible for trying to change it. But you have to, but it does come from like a little bit of a privileged perspective, because not everyone has that awareness. You know, when you think about all these different things, like in some sense, like someone might be listening right now and being like, yeah, like ideally, yeah, I would love to be able to trust, but how can someone actually do that? Like what's one first step that someone can do?
I love the question so much, because I wish somebody would have told me a decade ago to save me a lot of money and energy and heartbreak. But one thing that I started, like I created a mantra for myself that I now love sharing with my clients. And that is, you're perfectly made for your purpose. You're perfectly made for your purpose, because the moment you realize that you're perfect the way you are, instead of trying to fit the jeans and fitting the job and fitting the relationship and just changing who you are depending on the situation, you get to remember that who you came here is perfect for the purpose that you came here to fulfill this lifetime, this time, without getting too woo-woo, right? It's really just trusting that the way you look, the way you speak, the way you sing, your accent, everything, everything you can see as a flaw. It's amazing. I have one, so I host Women's Retreat. We just hosted one a month ago here in Tulum. And one of the participants, she's so sweet. We met at the restaurant because she was taking at the airport my other participant from my past retreat, and they were talking, and my participant is my client. She couldn't shut up about me. She was like, I gotta meet this woman, like I gotta see what is such a big deal about her. So we starting to talk, and like 10 minutes in a talk, she's telling me like, like I got yoga certified, I think I'm going to be teaching yoga. I was like, that's not why you came here. You came here to teach women. You came here to empower women about finances, because she also told me like, oh, I'm getting really curious about crypto and I'm studying it. And I could feel the energy of when she was sharing about the yoga, which was like, oh, it's nice. I love yoga. And then she was like, and I'm learning about crypto. And I could like see her lit up. I'm like, and when I told her this, she had like tears in her eyes. She was like, I gotta work with you. Like no one ever told me this. Like no one ever, like in 10 minutes, we never met before. We never talked before. And now she's teaching. Like she was speaker and she was a participant on my retreat. She also like hosted like a session on my retreat teaching about cryptocurrency. She's amazing. And I'm like, I had a call with her earlier today and she was like, Petia, you have changed my life. You've changed my life, and you never know who you're impacting. But I was able to tell her what is uncomfortable for her. It would be so comfortable for her to teach yoga and just be another of a million yoga teachers. And I'm not saying yoga is less than finances. I'm saying that you gotta do what lights you up. And she was telling me, like I overthink and I overanalyze and I have a hard time to sleep. I'm like, yeah, because your mind is active, which is amazing because you have such an active mind. You're so analytical. You can do the crypto. I'm choosing not to do that because I look at it and I'm like, okay, I will invest, but my husband will manage it.
Overwhelmed. It's just not the way that it's not for you. It's not your path.
You see, like she used to think like I'm overthinking, I'm overanalyzing. I'm like, yeah, it's your gift. It's a part of your purpose. She never saw it as a gift. She saw it as a burden. She saw it like people will judge me.
And what's interesting about you saying that though, is I think too, especially when it comes to like the world of coaching and all of that, there's a lot of expectations of like what type of coach you should be, or like, what, do you agree a little bit?
I'm like, good luck with that. I tried to give myself like 30 different labels, and I'm like, good luck with that. I'm like a mindset coach, transformational coach, life coach. I was even fitness and personal coach. And like, it's just like,
but what is even the label? Like at the end of the day, it's a life transformation. And it's funny because I remember and you saying this just reminded me of this story. Years ago, I took this online course. It was a free challenge that someone had hosted to try and figure out like what your niche is in terms of like your course, like what kind of course should you develop? And I actually found the document that I had started. I think it was 4 years ago. We had to go through and you had to like list all of your expertise, like the things that you like know you can help people with. Podcast was at the top of my list. And I was like, no, but I'm a life coach. Like I was a life coach at the time. I was like, I'm a life coach. I don't do anything podcast. I don't teach people how to do podcasts, like nothing. Well, lo and behold, the last entire year, I own an agency and we produce podcasts for women entrepreneurs. And I looked back and I'm like, oh my, how funny is that? Because now I'm in the process of creating an online course to help people launch a podcast. But that wasn't the timing then. It's just so funny because I had someone call it out and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah. And it's beautiful because it's like, yes, but it wouldn't come through if it wasn't yours. You know what I mean? You wouldn't put just the podcast as a number one. It came through you. Your higher self already knew, like your future self, like it knows. It's like, hey, it's podcast. It's like, no, it's not. And it's funny because like me 6 years ago, I had like a strategy call with one of the coaches, many years ago. And he told me, so when are you going to be coaching women? And mind you, back then I'm in a corporate job And I was just doing like social media marketing. Like I had a social media marketing agency later on, but I was doing social media for a couple of clients.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, me coaching, I cannot do that. I can't coaching women. I don't have my stuff together. Who would listen to me? I have an accent. Like people won't understand me. Like I was like, no, 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 no. And I built 6-figure online coaching business, coaching only women. You see, it's like, no, that's not for me. You cannot do that, and it's like, I'm upgrading again. I'm not working with women who are in startups. I'm working with leaders and visionaries because I realize that that's what really lights me up now. Yeah. I want to help women to help more women.
I love that.
So it's like how we are evolving. But if you would have told me 2 years ago, I wouldn't believe you. And now I hired a mentor. Like I have several mentors, like each for different things.
Yeah.
But I hired spiritual mentor because she made $1 million last year in her spiritual business. I'm like, and show me how.
Exactly. I have like, honestly, like, I'm like, yes, but yes. And you know what? And it's funny too, because it's like, even I think about like when I started out my agency, a big part of me, it was just getting off the ground though. And sometimes you have to put a little bit more elbow grease in there and work a few extra hours. And like, that's okay. You know what I mean? Like if it feels good to you to do that, that's fine. That's the thing, in my opinion. And then eventually you kind of get to a spot where you're like, okay, I don't need to be working these long, crazy hours and I can still be productive. I can still get it done. But, maybe if I need to launch a course now, maybe I've got to add a few more hours back in, but that's fine because you're doing it out of purpose. You're doing it out of alignment and not out of that go.
Oh, girl, you speaking my language, like heart to heart. Like, it's like, if you would see my newest label, if you see on my Instagram, it's alignment coach.
I like
because
that.
The thing is, and I'm sure you're familiar with human design, right?
Yes. Yeah.
It's like you're Becca's person. So of course, human design. But what's
what's your design?
I am a 5-1 generator,
Oh, I was going to say generator, but I wasn't sure.
You can tell the energy probably, like feel it up. But I love that, and like through human design, so many doors open for me. But also when I was learning about like, what is my purpose? Like, what is my team in my life? It's alignment. Like I couldn't believe it when I saw it. Like, I mean, I can, but it was like my purpose is to align others with their purpose through sensitivity and nurturing. And I was always being told, I'm too good, I'm too sweet, people will take advantage of me. So I was always feeling bad, like, oh, maybe I'm too good. And sometimes there were times, Simona, when I really wanted to be like this cold-hearted witch so I can take advantage of people, so I'm not being hurt again. How many, and we all did, but how many heartbreaks I went through, to
get where you are,
ascend into the version of me who I am today.
Exactly.
But the thing is that now really my purpose, it's alignment, and women who come to me, I help them to get into the alignment through million tools that I'm using. So you really cannot put a label on me because I'm certified breathwork, certified Reiki, NLP master, Qigong, like so many things. And I'm just like so lit up. I do human design readings, like just the mini readings, because I really feel like it's so mind-blowing and life-changing that everybody has to know that. And I work past year with like 3 mentors for human design. Each of them has like, of course, like the teachings are the same, but you hear it differently through different person. They notice different things. You have a different energy with different people. So it's amazing, that you can always keep growing.
It's so true. And it's funny, as you're saying all of this too, like, again, like you and I, the last time we would have connected over a Zoom would have been like, actually probably 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, something like that. Wow. And it's amazing to see because you say alignment, but even from right when you were talking about like the social media piece and all that, there's so much alignment that goes into that. You have to, you know what I mean? You're aligning the message. And so you're aligning the message and then you're helping people align themselves. And so it's funny how it's like always been that it just kind of manifests in a very beautiful and different way that what you maybe ever anticipated it would be, right?
Absolutely. No, I never, ever imagined my life to be what it is.
Yeah.
And it's amazing because like, if I would stay where I was, I would stay in a small town in Czech
Yeah.
Republic, doing the job that I hate, probably making between, $500 to $1,500 a month. Now I do it multiple a day, and I would be like freezing my booty off right now there. And now I'm walking half naked in tropical Tulum. So I could never plan for this, but I had enough guts to say I'm meant for more. I don't know what that more is, but I will follow these breadcrumbs, and I keep gluten-free breadcrumbs. Okay. I love bread, but I keep following them. It doesn't make sense. So many times in our life, it makes no sense. But when you allow yourself, like, okay, this lights me up. I am really curious about this. Go there, do things that are different. Because if not, like, where are you today? You will be there in the next year, next 10 years. Are you okay with that?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
am. Listen, if I stay here and nothing ever changes, I'm pretty good.
You're like, this
I'm
is great.
like, all that I want is upgrades. Like, I would love a bigger home, because this is like a castle what we are renting.
It's so cool.
It is.
For everyone who's listening and who can't actually see the video, you can watch the video on YouTube, but like she has this really, it's so cool where you are right now.
It's like built on sacred geometry. So it's pretty super cool place. Like, it's super rare,
Amazing.
but like, I can upgrade the house. I can upgrade the, my car that I'm manifesting. Our intention is to get pregnant with my husband this year. So all these things are upgrades.
I love that.
But the thing is that you get to ask yourself, for those who are listening, you have to ask yourself, if nothing ever changes in my life, am I okay with that? Because women who come to me and work with me one-on-one or on my retreats or workshops, they're not. They're not, because they're not fully expressing themselves. They're not fully allowing themselves the abundance. Like, making money and hustling for it, anyone can do that. Sorry to break it down for you, honey, but anyone can do it. Anyone can hustle 7 days a week and make money. But working 2 days a week, or how much you want to work, and, creating abundance and impact, that's energetic. That's what I learned the past couple of years, because where I was teaching, I was not where I am today. I didn't know what I know now. I wasn't embodying what I'm embodying now and living now. It is not the next strategy. It is not the next course. And I know it because I did it. I hired mentors, million courses, workshops, events, and all those gave me a lot of inspiration. They gave me courage. They gave me ideas, like what I really want, what I really want to create. But the real up leveling in your life, the next dimension of your life, it's not going to come through something. It's going to come through your energy shift. So that's what I'm focusing on in my business, is the spirituality and the strategy together, because the women that I work with now, they know how to be successful. They know how to make money. They know that if they work, they will do this and that and achieve this. It's like, if I do A, I will get to B and achieve C, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm getting them from their heads back into their bodies, through Qigong, through Reiki, through, NLP, through a beautiful, powerful, bright work, through, like the speaking, like speaking live, the vision to them. And it's all because I allow myself to follow my intuition. That's where you have to start. It's your intuition. Wherever you are, ask yourself, if my life never changes, am I okay with that or not? And if not, what is that I can shift right here and right now? What is that can be shifted? Because maybe you cannot be like, oh, screw this job, I'm out. Screw this marriage, I'm out, right? Like, maybe you have mortgage, maybe you have kids, whatever it is, right? But what is that you can shift into your life right now? Like, maybe you can just follow someone on Instagram who has the things that you desire, the self-expression, the freedom, the abundance. Let yourself to be inspired and see what else it's unfolding. You gotta change your energetics to change your life. That's where it all starts.
I love that you said that. It's so true. Oh, it's so good. Okay. My last question for you. It's a question I ask all my guests when they come on the show. How can you create a little more happiness in your day, every day, starting today?
For me?
As a
or
tip for our
general.
listeners.
I would look into, I know it will sound super basic, but I would look into your morning and the night, because those are the two moments that you can really reconnect to yourself and to the energy around you. So really ask yourself if what you have been doing and creating in your morning, well, if you even have morning routine, but you get to remember what got you here won't get you there.
Yeah. It's true.
So what can you change? Like I just changed my morning routine. I used to wake up and just go to the gym and maybe do some meditation. But what I started to do now, it's like I wake up, I do binaural beats or meditation. I cuddle my husband and my dog. I do some breath work. I do dancing. I do singing. I'm more in my yin energy. I'm more in my feminine energy, because my masculine kept me protected and safe and helped me to create all the beautiful money and impact. And the more feminine I'm bringing in, the more impact and more money I'm making. So ask yourself if the routines that you have created for yourself are still working. And if not, how can you shift the morning and the night? Because that's when your subconscious mind, it's really the most susceptible for changes and it's more open. So start shifting slowly. Maybe just get yourself a new journal. Maybe just do things, one thing differently. You don't want to overwhelm yourself. Maybe you wake up in the morning and just do lemon water or celery juice. Like me and my husband, we wake up in the morning. Every morning we do 32 ounces of lemon water, 32 ounces of fresh squeezed celery juice.
Wow.
And then we do just a smoothie, heavy metal detox smoothie. And we are doing this routine for 2 years.
Wow. That's amazing.
It's like you want to purify your body, because your body is the vessel where the energy is going to be flowing. So
Exactly.
that's the next steps to your happiness, to assess where you are, what's working, double down on it, and what's not working, what can be shifted.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Where can our listeners find you so they can learn more?
So my favorite place, it's on Instagram under my name, Petia Kolibova, and I know you'll put it in your show notes because nobody can pronounce that thing. So that's my website, or my podcast, Unapologetically Abundant. Those are really my two favorite places where I hang out.
I love that. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today and joining us and this amazing conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so much fun.
It was so much fun. And thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. If you love this episode, share it with us, tag us, let us know you're listening. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Remember that happiness happens when you're least expecting it.